fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Wasserkrug. Before we get into today's video, I just want to give you an update of why it's been so long since I've actually popped up on the channel. It's been about 3 weeks since our last video popped up, and during that time, I've actually been battling a really bad cough that's been basically making me unable to shoot videos without going into huge coughing fits. And I also just got COVID this past week. So it's been a fun 3 weeks for me in terms of health and actually getting myself well enough to actually get on camera and talk to you guys. But in that time, I have been watching a lot of movies. So expect a lot of videos to pop up on the channel here in the next 2 days as I try to kind of catch up with everything before we hit our end of the year videos. But today, we're going to be viewing one of the more anticipated films of the year with Avatar: The Way of the Water. For honestly anyone who knows anything about movies, Avatar, which came out in 2009, was one of the biggest box office successes in history. It revolutionized 3D in films. It started a whole string of 3D films in show business in terms of things. And 3D, while not such a big thing anymore, which I've never really been a big fan of the 3D filming in movie theaters, but Avatar was always one that I always recommended watching in 3D because James Cameron's ability to make things feel larger than life, especially with the 3D cameras that he uses, Avatar was definitely a must-watch. Now, over the years, Avatar has kind of been getting a lot of negativity towards it, which, I mean, it kind of did during when it first came out, with people attacking it for its, very simplistic and kind of, reusable plots, which I see it. I understand that Avatar is basically like Pocahontas meets Ferngully meets name like 3 other films that are just like Last of the Mohicans. But that's the thing with Avatar, was that like you weren't watching it for this amazing, astounding story, as you were watching it for the amazing visuals, the amazing 3D, and if the story was passable, then you would be okay to, watch that and enjoy what the film was, which is a critically astounding visual masterpiece by James Cameron. Now, throughout that film, James Cameron decided, I guess, that this is what he wants to make for the rest of his life, because for the next 13 years, he's been working on this film and 5 others, I believe. I think there's going to be, like, as of right now, 7 Avatar movies. But it kept getting pushed back further and further and further. I think this movie was originally supposed to come out 6 years ago. But, with technology updating and COVID and all this kind of stuff, the movie just kept getting pushed further and further back, to the point where it got to the point where many people's eyes is like, is this movie ever going to come out? And if so, do we care anymore? Because it's so far removed from the first film. Now, jumping into Avatar: The Way of the Water, I've seen probably the Avatar trailer probably about 1,000 times, because every movie you go to, the trailer is on the reel. And by the time I got to being ready to watch Avatar: The Way of the Water, I really didn't care anymore, because I was so kind of over the Avatar-ness of it all. The plots through all the trailers didn't really sell me on anything, didn't really tell me what the movie was, and there's a good reason kind of why they didn't, because it's a very big spoiler. But I think now, by the time this review comes out, I think everyone kind of knows what the actual spoiler is, so you can actually talk about the plot a little bit more. But nonetheless, I went in with the lowest of lows of expectations. I knew the movie was visually going to look great, but I didn't know if I was going to enjoy the film all on its own. So going into Avatar: Way of Water, the movie jumps ahead about more than a decade since the events of the first film, and it does a good job trying to catch you up here in the beginning of the film, kind of giving you previously on Avatar, and kind of catches you up to the events of the film. Like I said, it's been more than a decade. Jake and Neytiri have 4 kids? I think it's 4 kids. They've got, 2 of their own, or 3 of their own. I think they have 5 kids, actually. And then they've got this, like, baby that was kind of created by the Tree of Life that's basically Sigourney Weaver. So we get basically Sigourney Weaver playing a teenage version of herself, which, if you can get past that and be okay to watching Sigourney Weaver play this character and not look at her as, like, it's Sigourney Weaver's voice with a teenage, body, which I was able to get past that after the first 10 minutes. And then they also have kind of, like, adopted a human child that was kind of left on Pandora once all the humans left at the end of the first film. So they have this big, large family, but something happens and the humans come firing back on all cylinders to the point that it pushes them out of their forest home. The big thing is that Quaritch, Stephen Lang, the villain from the first film, before he passed away at the end of the first film, they basically made him and his men avatars. And they basically transferred his memories and everything prior to his death over to these avatars, and now they can get on Pandora and hunt down Jake Sully and help try to take over the Na'vi. So by doing this, Jake decides to basically run away with him and his family and go to the water world, basically, of the Na'vi to basically try and hide from Quaritch and these other avatars. So that way the forest people from the first film would not be in danger anymore. And that's basically the main general plot of Avatar: The Way of the Water. And then it's a lot of them trying to learn this new water world. I think the people are called, what are they called? Of course, I'm gonna butcher the hell out of all these names because they're it's Avatar. But yeah, they're I think they're called the Metakaina clan. Probably butchered the hell out of that, but they're the water people. We call them. I think they use them it's called them reef people or water people in the film. I mean, and the plot itself is very much, like I said, you've seen this kind of film before, but a lot of people they're using that to attack this movie of, oh, we've seen this story before. And you know what? That's fine. This is a movie that every movie out there, for the most part, is a movie that we have seen the plot redone over and over and over and over again. I think everyone just wants to immediately jump on Avatar, basically saying that it doesn't have an original story or the story is its weakest point or anything like that, because they're just trying to find something to hate about this film. And you know what? These are the same people that want to, praise Black Panther, which is basically the Lion King, and want to hold this one down and say that this is basically, a subplot of, 3 other films or 4 other films prior to it. And I love Black Panther, and I thought Wakanda Forever was really, really good. But I'm sorry, The Woman King and Avatar: Way of the Water did a better job of doing Wakanda Forever than Wakanda Forever did. And I know I might piss a few people off saying that, but it's true. Avatar, because I remember watching Wakanda Forever and watching that third act and basically going, this is what Avatar: The Way of the Water is going to be. I feel like these movies are all too close. And Woman King did a better job of doing Wakanda Forever, and this movie did a better job of doing the final fight sequence than Wakanda Forever did. The third act fight sequence in Avatar: The Way of the Water is fucking awesome. And that is kind of the long and short of it, of Avatar: The Way of the Water. The story is what it is. It's not bad. I think it's better than the first film in terms of a story. I think the story's a lot stronger this time out. Now, it does focus more on the kids than Jake and Neytiri. And I think the kids actually do a solid job. I'm going to try to find their names. You got, like I said, Kiri, played by Sigourney Weaver. You've got Loak, played by Britton Dalton. Nitiyan, played by Jamie Flatters. Took, played by Trinity Jolie Bliss. Jake Champion, who plays Spider, the human kid. And I think Bailey Bass plays Tissaria. And I'm saying these names and I'm saying them all wrong. And I'm doing, I can't. Could you tell me? Can I if you put them all up on a picture, am I going to be able to pick which one's which outside of Spider? Probably not. But the performance of these young Na'vi are actually really well done, and I actually did not hate the story. And I think when they add the addition of the Tolkien, which are these kind of whale creatures in the Avatar world, it really kind of locked me in and it really wanted me to really enjoy this film. Visually, which is what everyone I think cares about most when it comes to Avatar: The Way of the Water, this is a visual marvel. This movie looks amazing. There's so many beautiful looking shots. I went and saw this in 3D. Like I said, I don't care for 3D. I don't like watching things in 3D, but when it's Avatar, you watch this in 3D. The 3D works probably about 90% of the time. There's a couple shots that I think with the first film looked better than it did the second film. But nonetheless, by the time you get your eyes adjusted to the first 10 minutes of the movie, there are some amazing 3D shots. There's some amazing depth in terms of these visuals, and the visuals of this film once they hit the water world look fantastic. The Na'vi look more human this time around. The creatures look great. The action looks great. Everything about this film, there's so many times I was watching this movie going, ooh, just because this movie looks beautiful. And the cast isn't bad. Sam Worthington is Jake. He's fine. Sam Worthington wasn't always the greatest actor, but I think he does a passable job as Jake. I do think Zoe Saldana's Neytiri gets less to do in this, obviously, than the first film, but when she is actually able to do stuff in this movie, she does a great job. Newest additions, you got Cliff Curtis and Kate Winslet, who played kind of the king and queen of the Reef People. I think they're fine, but they're not really given a whole lot to do, because like I said, the story really does circle around mostly around the children in this film. Jermaine Clement plays a human character. Edie Falco plays a human character in this film. Clement actually plays out of his norm, which I actually kind of appreciated, and I actually didn't hate his performance in the film. Edie Falco, I think, is a character that was introduced in this film, but she's going to be more important in latter films, so she basically got more of an introduction in this with the promise of being more important down the road. And Stephen Lang, as Quaritch, he comes back, he's basically playing the same kind of character that he played in the first film, but there's so much more layers to his character this time out that I think Stephen Lang actually does a great job. Like I said, the third act final battle I thought was great. It's like 40 minutes long, and I was captivated the whole time watching this movie. Avatar: The Way of the Water is a must-watch in theaters. If you can watch it in 3D, definitely do that. This is a movie that must be watched on the biggest screen possible. And for people who want to complain about the story, that it's not original, and that it's kind of bare, blah, 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 blah. Look, you go to an Avatar movie to see the visuals, to see the 3D, and to see the action. You're not going to it to see the story. This is the same argument that people were going to have about the Fast and the Furious films. You don't go to a Fast and Furious movie for the amazing story and acting. You go to see the cars and the action sequences and the craziness that ensues. So if you love the Fast and Furious movies and you defend them for that statement, then you can't really argue that same statement against Avatar. It's the same damn thing. And for me, I enjoyed the hell out of Avatar: The Way of the Water. I think it's a visual marvel that could very well see some consideration here, definitely around Oscar season. It's one of my favorite films of the year so far. Now we still have more films to watch, and I can't wait to see this again. So for me, I'm going to give Avatar: Way of the Water a 91%. I think it excels on everything from the first film and actually is a superior film to the first one, which, shocker, that's what James Cameron does best, is make better sequels than the originals. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders, and of course, I'm going to follow us on all social media outlets you see below. Sorry that my voice kept going Sorry that my voice kept going out during this review. I'm still battling COVID, but I'm trying to get these videos out for you guys so I don't have like 20 videos coming out during the end of the year. But please stick with me, guys. I'm getting better. I'm trying to get better anyway. We got many more videos to come out, many more reviews, and as well as our end of the year stuff with Brian Michaels and myself. So much more coming on the channel, so be on the lookout for all that. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.